Okay, so this module we're going to talk about social engineering. Now, question, what do you think about when you think of hackers? Well, most people probably think of some, pale, skinny kid sitting in their parents' basement looking at long strings of C code on a black screen with green text, just like in the Matrix. And that's how they imagine hackers operate. That they're sitting there looking for these really obscure details and finding flaws in programs. And there are some people that do that. There's probably like 5 in the entire world. Most people don't. That's very difficult and the hardest way to compromise a system. So Kevin Mitnick is one of the most famous hackers out there. And he always said, the easiest thing to do is attack the human operating system, right? It's much easier to convince somebody to give you their password than to figure out a way to crack their password. That's social engineering. Social engineering is taking advantage of the way that human beings interact with each other and our expectations and using that to gain access to a system or information they're not supposed to have. And Kevin Mitnick was actually very famous. His big trick in the 90s was he would call up people and then he would say, "Hi, this is Bob from IT. I have to ask you some questions, but before we go any further, I need to verify your ID. Can you give me your username and password?" And they would be like, "Oh, of course. This is Jimmer, right? My password is password1." And then Kevin would say, "Oh, well, I'm just calling to make sure everything's working okay." Boom, he's got somebody's password. Most of our big hacks, our big problems in terms of security have been social engineering issues. Edward Snowden didn't hack anything. Edward Snowden asked people, "Hey, can I have your username and passwords?" And because they knew he was the administrator and they expected the administrator to be behaving within the rules, they gave up their usernames and passwords, and he was able to get access to information he wasn't supposed to have access to. So, social engineering is the absolute most common form of hacking and attacking that goes on a day-to-day basis. What's the most common type of social engineering that most people experience? Spam and phishing. Spam is, of course, unwanted email, usually trying to get you to buy something. Phishing is also unwanted email, but phishing usually tries to trick you into giving them personal information. Or sometimes phishing might try to get you to click on a link and download a piece of malware that might infect your system. All of this falls under social engineering in that we expect email to be from people we know and care about and people who have something to say to us. We don't expect it to be malicious, and that's what people who do social engineering count on. Also, we're looking at social engineering because, if there is a technical solution to a problem, usually you'd prefer to use a technical solution, right? If people are walking into a room that you don't want them to get into, the easiest thing to do is put a lock on it. But a lot of problems, there aren't good technical solutions. Social engineering problems are one of them. Because the problem isn't with the technology, it's with the people. So how do you address those issues? With training. That's what this module is really all about. You are training yourself to be able to spot, identify, and respond to social engineering attacks. So how are you going to do that? Well, first, your first assignment is going to be a research assignment where you're looking at key terms. And a few things about this assignment. Number one, I don't expect like a 15-page treatise on the terminology that's used in spam and phishing. Right? I don't need that. I want 1 to 3 pages. Right? And the most important thing is I want your definition of these terms in your words. So don't just find it somewhere and cut and paste it. Give it to me in your words. I don't care what somebody else said whaling is. I care how you understand whaling. And the reason that every module that you do in this class is going to start off with you researching key terms. Because you can't begin to discuss a subject until you have the vocabulary, right? It's like trying to have a conversation with somebody in another language. You need to speak the same language. That language involves the terms and definitions that you're going to be researching. So that's the first assignment. Then I'm going to have you guys do a phishing IQ test. Okay, and I want you to do that assignment with other people. Preferably, I'd like you to do it with other people from the class. And I'm going to post a forum where you might say, hey, I'm going to be going to, this computer lab at this time if anybody wants to meet me there. So that you can arrange to meet with other students in the class. If you can't work it out with other students, then, grab a couple people from your home and do it together with them. But I'd like you to kind of write up, what did you guys catch? What didn't you catch? And most of us are not as smart as we think we are at catching phishing attacks. Okay. The third assignment you're going to do in this module is you are actually going to write your own phishing email targeting somebody from LBCC. So I want you to go to the Long Beach City College website, try to find out some information on somebody, and write an email that you would use to target somebody. Now, you're not going to actually send it. You're just going to post it online. But I want you to use things like, can I find out who this person's supervisor is or who their secretary is, right? Can I include something in this email that would make them think that this is legitimate? Because those are all the tricks that people who are doing phishing use to try and get you to think that their email is legitimate. And finally, I'm going to have you guys participate in a forum this week and every week. You're always going to be involved in some type of discussion forum. Now, an important thing about discussion forums in this class, you must participate multiple times on multiple days throughout the week to get full credit. So important, let me repeat that. You must participate multiple times throughout the week on multiple days to get full credit. So you not only have to make your own posting, you must respond to other students' postings, and you have to do it throughout the week. Why do I do that? Well, if we don't have that rule, then everybody posts on the very last day, and then nobody can respond to anybody, and there's really no discussion happening. So block out some time, and you should have done this in your assignment where you were planning your online success. Block out some time every at least 2 days to be logging in, checking on the site, and looking at what other people posted in the discussion forum. You don't have to spend a lot of time. 15 minutes, 20 minutes is plenty for replying to other students. But you need to be posting throughout the week or you will not get full credit for the forum assignment, okay? And that's going to be for every week. Also remember, there is no late work accepted in this class. Everything has to be done by next Tuesday evening. Nothing late is accepted. We have to keep moving forward in this class. If there's going to be a particular issue, send me an email. But in general, nothing late is accepted. Okay? So that is going to be Module 1, Social Engineering, Spam, and Phishing. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. You can message me through Canvas, or my email is gwhalen@lbcc.edu. Have a great week.